Hi, my name is Winsome Johnson. I myself is a breast cancer survivor, and I was about 10 years before Leila Springer. And I called her at home just to give her some support. And that's when we started discussing forming a support group together to help women going through, especially women from the ethnic background.
I'm Leila Springer. I was diagnosed with breast cancer, stage 3 advanced breast cancer is what I was told, in 1999, and which is 14 years ago. 16 years ago, that is, I'm sorry. The thing is, most people, when they hear about breast cancer, will automatically think that they're going to die. That's the first reaction to a diagnosis. Am I going to make it? But I'm here to say that yes, we can make it, because cancer is no longer a death sentence. They have made great strides and great progress over the years with the research. So they can do wonderful things now in terms of the different types of treatment, and also making sure that the type of treatment you get is geared for you. The only thing that I can say right now in terms of making sure that the treatment is targeted, and that will relate to us as Black women. We don't know for sure that the treatment that we get is targeted towards us. And the reason for that is because when they're doing the clinical trials, usually we are not involved.
You know, sometimes we just take our bodies for granted and believe and just think everything is okay. But for myself, one morning I woke up and getting dressed for work, I was combing my hair, and when I saw under my arm was a huge mass. Never noticed it before, just that morning. So I showed it to my husband, and he said, "Honey, I don't think there's anything wrong. That could be from deodorant." However, I went to the doctor, and he checked. I went to one doctor. He said, "Oh, nothing is wrong with you. Here's a prescription. Just fill it." Somehow I did not fill that prescription. I went to another doctor, and he said, "I'll send you to have a mammogram." We did the mammogram. The mammogram was fine. Nothing was shown on the mammogram. And every day I'm so thankful for my doctor, because he said to me, "Well, I won't leave that on the body. We'll have surgery and have it removed." And having that mass from under my arm removed, you know, I was diagnosed with cancer. Of course, I was so shocked. The doctor said to me, "You will have to have surgery again, because we just did a biopsy on what was removed, and you need major surgery." He said, "Go to the desk and make another appointment to come in to see me." But in shock, I walked right past the receptionist, went downstairs, sat in my car, and said, "What did that doctor just told me?" However, I went back to my family doctor, and I sat in his office. I cried for about half an hour, and he just sat with me. I so thank God for him.
Well, let me say this. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, there was a real paucity of information. I couldn't find information that related to Black women with breast cancer. A lot has changed since 1999, not necessarily in Canada, but in the United States. And they have done a lot of research, and yes, they have found that the research that's being done is not really specific to women of color or Black women. In other words, it's really done on Caucasian women. So that would mean it's general research that's being done. What we wanted to see and what we are working on right now, along with some other doctors, is information or research being done to see why Black women get breast cancer so aggressively. Why is it so aggressive, and why is it that they're likely to die from it more than white women? And the only way we can get that information is to do the research specifically on Black women.
It was confirmed I needed major surgery. So the surgery was done at Women's College Hospital. And after 2 weeks, went back. I said, okay, yes, it's cancer, but I had surgery, so I believe everything was removed, and I'll be fine. But when I went to the doctor, he told me, Mrs. Johnson, you have stage 4 breast cancer. And please plan your life because you just have a short time to live. I waited a few days. I am wondering, how am I going to tell this to my husband? However, finally, I had to tell him because the doctor told me at that time that I had a short time to live. So one night before going to bed, I said, honey, I have something to tell you. The doctor told me so-and-so. No, I didn't tell him the full report. I just said, the doctors say that I have breast cancer. Later on, that night, he went out into the garage and he cried.
When I was diagnosed and I had my first cancer chemotherapy treatment, then I had to purchase my oral medication. And back in those days, each time I purchased that medication, it was $295, I think it was, that it cost me. Twice a month I got those. The thing is, and I found this, a lot, my first thought when that happened to me was, what happens to those that don't have insurance? What happens to those that have no coverage? What happens to those women that are single? How are they going to do that? Obviously, and I came across this with one of the patients that came to us for help. Actually, there were two of them. One of them had insurance, and she had to insist that she get whatever treatment was out there, because they automatically told her that, we have this, and they named the treatment. They named it. I can't remember which one it was, but they told her, but you can't afford it. And she said, well, how do you know I can't afford it? And they said, no, you can't afford it. And she said, but I have insurance. And that's when she was actually given that particular type of treatment. And then there was another lady that had the same type of, it was triple negative breast cancer, which is extremely aggressive. She didn't have insurance, and she was dead in weeks because she couldn't get that treatment.
So I started treatment and so on. But I was invited to a church, which I had refused to go to for some time. But now, of course, you need everything. You need God. And one Sunday, sitting there, the pastor was about to preach, but he stopped and he said, the Holy Ghost just spoke to me that there's someone here with cancer. Today's your day. Come for your healing. And of course, because I was only a visitor to the church, I sat there. I did not move. I figured maybe it was some member of the church or so on. However, I finally went up. They prayed with me. I went back to the doctor on my day of appointment because I wasn't that strong in faith to say yes. However, on the day of my appointment, I went back for treatment. They did blood tests, and of course, they noticed a great change. So they sent me, that was the oncologist, they sent me to see the surgeon, and they were all baffled over this report. And the surgeon had no choice but to say to me, Mrs. Johnson, you're cancer-free. There's no cancer. He checked my file. He said, anyone diagnosed with this just does not make it. And so I left out of his office rejoicing and praising God.
I benefited from somebody else's research project, somebody else being in on the clinical trials. And that's why I was able to survive. I survived 16 years advanced breast cancer because I was also vigilant. I didn't just depend on the doctors to do the work for me. I did some work myself. I did surgery, I did chemotherapy, I did radiation. That was the doctor's job. But I also did a lot in terms of making sure I ate right, making sure I got enough rest, making sure that I was not emotionally overloaded. And when I say that, I mean worrying about things that were unnecessary. Those are the things that helped me survive breast cancer.
Afro Mosaic Health Guide is simply the best and most informative, reliable health talk show in North America.
You are listening to the Afro Mosaic Health Guide radio show. You can listen live online at am530.ca via satellite by dialing 712-432-8437. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And to send your comment, visit us at www.amhg.ca/radio. For more information about our health navigation services, call us toll free at 1-800-590-7287. You're listening to the Afro Mosaic Health Guide radio show live on Radio Ali.